Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of CJ's Quotes and Crafts. This is our next installment of our US Commemorative Series. This one is going to cover the 1934 Daniel Boone Bicentennial Half Dollar. The Daniel Boone Bicentennial Commission was created by the Kentucky Legislature on January 30th, 1934. Primary figures of this commission were Chairman Judge Samuel M. Wilson, First Vice Chairman Dr. J.T. Doris, Second Vice Chairman Mrs. Jewett Taylor Cannon, Judge Innes B. Ross as Treasurer, and Mr. C. Frank Dunn acting as Secretary. After the commission was created, Dunn went to Washington and personally wrote a bill to create the Pioneer National Monument to be comprised of the sites of Boonesboro, Boone Station, Bryan's Station, and the Blue Licks Battlefield. Mr. Dunn also created the plan of financing the purchase of shrines by the sale of memorial half dollars and leveraged his connections with Senator Alban W. Barkley and Congressman Virgil Chapman. Henry Augustus Lukeman, who was a notable sculptor of New York, was hired by the commission to prepare designs for the commemorative coin honoring the pioneer, with the expectation that the half dollars were to be minted by October 1st. Lukeman largely ignored the artistic requirements for the coin. The commission conceded to the designs presented by Lukeman, and after minor changes were approved. The obverse of the coin has a bust of Daniel Boone with the United States of America and half dollar above and below the bust. The reverse of the coin portrays Daniel Boone holding a musket with his left hand and holding a peace treaty with his right hand. Boone faces Chief Blackfish, who is holding a tomahawk. This scene outlines the connection between Chief Blackfish and Boone, where Boone had initially been captured and held by the Shawnee tribe for 3 months. During this time, Chief Blackfish became impressed with Boone's frontier skills, so much that he adopted Boone as a son, making him an honorary member of the Shawnee tribe with the name Boone Big Turtle. The Boone half dollar is the only coin to portray a father and son. The coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1934 and were all sold by the end of the year. In early 1935, the production continued with all three mints. The same year, the coin's reverse design was modified when Dunn used his connections in Congress to get new legislation approved. The new design has the year 1934 shown above the words Pioneer Year. The legislation was passed on August 26th, and as a result, an additional 10,008 coins were minted at Philadelphia, 2003 coins were minted at Denver, and 2004 coins minted at San Francisco. Dunn had advertised these coins as rarities, with a pair consisting of the coins with and without the 1934, and was sold for $3.70. Collectors ordered this extra issue in order for their sets to be complete, but were frustrated when their orders were returned unfilled. This led many collectors to sense fraud from the commission, as it had claimed that all of the branch mint pieces were sold in pre-orders. Further frustration came when rumors circulated that the commission had only distributed around 25% of the branch mint issues and held the remaining coins to be released to dealers and speculators after the price had risen significantly. Production of the Daniel Boone Bicentennial half dollar continued for the next 3 years. Although Dunn initially announced production would end in 1937, the following year more coins would be minted. The 1937 and 1938 issues were largely shunned by collectors and did not sell well, resulting in many being returned to the mint and being melted. We do have from the National Archives some correspondence from the Daniel Boone Bicentennial Commission from Frank Dunn and Augustus Lukeman. The first letter is dated July 21st, 1934, and this is from Augustus Lukeman to the Secretary of the Boone Bicentennial Commission. In reference to your letters of July 17th and 18th, I'm afraid that we are approaching the subject of design and execution as well from opposite angles. First, the profile that was turned down and bears no likeness to any known Boone is a blow to me. In the first place, the bust in the Hall of Fame is so placed that the back of it is directly in the lift and the face facing in is usually in shadow. It is impossible as the bust is placed to get a profile of it except its silhouette. Since Mr. Douglas had so much to do with making this composite head, surely he must have photographs of it, and if you will dispatch me a photograph of the profile, I shall be very glad to make it more the type of likeness that he has in mind. You say in your letter that the Kentuckians feel that the statue done by Enid Yandell is more the likeness they feel Daniel Boone may have borne. In reference to the reverse side, I can easily take a few of the feathers off the Indian's head. I can also change the peace pipe into a tomahawk, but I cannot change the position of the Indian's arm and remove the dog without recomposing an entirely new composition, which will entail another month's work, which has already been spent on the designs which you have in hand, and which apparently someone in your commission feels he must kill. If you will take from the two designs and place them in the hands of the Fine Arts Commission with the suggestions and changes which you propose to me, I will be very glad to adhere to whatever criticism they shall make of the designs. But in any case, I should have the plaster models returned to me so that I can make the changes. But I do not feel that any progress can be made until the Fine Arts Commission can see these models and pass their judgment on them, for as now for as things now stand, it is evidently the purpose of some member of your commission to kill the design entirely. When I volunteered my services to the extent of doing the model for you half price, I understood that your commission lacked funds entirely for this work. I suppose that it was the purpose of your commission to have the work done by an artist whose reputation was sufficiently established that his work, when placed before the Arts Commission, might be acceptable for the government as well as have the sales value that would hold the public's liking. If this is not the purpose of your commission, then for heaven's sake, do not let me hold you up any longer. As I have just stated, over a month of my time to take away from work that I now have in hand. However, I can make any reasonable changes and small details on the models in a week's time, but I cannot work on uncertainty as to whether the general scheme is approved or turned down by the Fine Arts Commission. If you wish me to go with you to Washington when you are ready to present the design, which is only right and proper, I shall be very glad to do it so at my expense. As the matter stands, and as I see it, it is just a compromise between conflicting interests who apparently don't know the first essentials necessary in the sales value as well as the design of a coin. Whether I am to proceed with this work further or not, will you be kind to return my summer studio at Stockbridge, Massachusetts, the models, and let me know whether your commission, in all its fairness to me as an artist, wish to meet me in Washington to present the models to the Mine Arts Commission for their consideration. P.S. The blockhouse fort design, as indicated in the model, is the Boone blockhouse fort. The repetition of dates 1734 to 1934 on the coin, I am not convinced will help the coin in any way, for the simple reason that the inscription reads Daniel Boone Bicentennial and the composition Pioneer Year. The coin itself must be dated according to law, therefore bears the numerals 1934. This matter of dates, as conflicting to my mind, should be taken up with the mint, and if they feel that necessity of having the extra numerals on the coin, I should be perfectly willing to kill the composition by taking out the dog. The only criticism I feel as to the dog is whether it should be a pointer or a setter. If a pointer, the tail should be up, and if a setter, the tail should be down. I see no necessity of making a drawing because the model is completed except for the changes that the commission has suggested. The sooner we take these models to Washington, the sooner you can get your coinage. So this correspondence from Augustus Lukeman to Frank Dunn really kind of outlines kind of the difference of what was initially asked and how an artist's conception of what what they wanted to portray. And I thought that it was really kind of an interesting take on that Augustus feels very passionate about the models that he's done and some of the criticisms that he really doesn't think is fair. So there is a respondent to Augustus Lukeman from the Boone Bicentennial Commission Secretary, and it reads as follows. This was dated July 23rd, 1934. I've just received your airmail letter of July 21st. Either you or we have misunderstood the position of the United States Arts Commission. The Fine Arts Commission notified that you to have the models delivered to the commission and for approval send the models back to them at Washington. I wrote to you on this effect. I can readily see the advisability of that action on the part of the Fine Arts Commission, as if anybody had calculated to pass on the authenticity of the historical representation, it would be this commission, which consists mainly of Kentucky historians. In in behalf of our commission, permit me to say that the executive committee, which passed on the model, were unanimous in their criticisms and rejection. From my own knowledge of Kentucky history, I wrote you when you first described to me your proposal to depict the treaty scene and said that you evidently had confused Burnsboro with the Treaty of Watauga. It was Colonel Henderson's and not Boone's treaty, and it took place before there was a Boonesboro. You will recall also that we urgently requested you at that time to substitute a tomahawk for the peace pipe, and particularly to see that the Indian chief represented a Shawnee. I even outlined the dress of a Shawnee chief with a request that you check up on me. Colonel Douglas wrote you at the same time and requested that you see the ex, exhibition in the museum in the National History in New York. I recall that I mentioned a Shawnee Indian wore buckskin trousers while you dress him in a loincloth with a helmet instead of a shaved head and scalp lock. Then, to simplify matters and expedite delivery, I wired you to abandon the whole scene and substitute a corner of Fort Boonesboro in accordance with instructions and received by us just at that time from the Fine Arts Commission. Just as you requested, I will forward the model. Our executive committee meets Wednesday and will apparently have to arrange as quickly as possible to get the models that will be approved by the Commission and the United States Fine Arts Commission, as the delay has embarrassed us greatly. P.S. The idea of the dog was condemned by the executive committee. The famous picture of Boone and his rifle and dog was not Boone at all. It was Audubon. So that the letter back to Augustus Lukeman in response to this is kind of the same feeling as as I read through this that there is some different takes on what they wanted depicted on this coin and how that this came out. So it's a great read. It's a really good background to some of how these coins, these commemorative coins are developed and designed before they're actually created. So if you like this content, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And stay tuned for more of the US Commemorative Series. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.